the 22nd installment of Orb. Last time was one of my favorite episodes so far. I didn't realize in the moment, but I did to an extent, right? I came out of it and I said I really enjoyed it. But when I was editing, and I left a comment on the last episode in case any of you saw it, it really clicked differently with me. All the little pieces that are needed for progression from a writing perspective, for progression of just the world itself, and for our characters were absolutely nailed. All the little things that were set up and told to us prior to this, the things that we came to almost expect and even not expect, all came to life as well as giving reason to really rally behind characters, somebody like Schmidt, who I thought was a little far gone. That isn't really my favorite of people that we've come into so far. While entertaining, not really that. And to find a different side of him and to see how much he's really been influenced through others as well, to go as far as defying, the will of God, which is not something that you would openly expect him to do, to the end was absolutely brilliant. And I think it's so welcomed. And I enjoyed it so much. It's up there with like some of the early episodes, and I've been open enough about it, about how I think the first like 3 episodes were unbelievable, and I think there's been like real nice highlights throughout, but the overall consistency of what I enjoyed within the first few episodes hasn't necessarily been there all the way throughout. And I have said this, I think this episode was one of the few that we've gotten since then that I've just like, this is incredible. Which I'm really happy to get, especially later into the series, closing towards the end. I think that's always a wonderful thing for us to get. One thing I didn't touch on last time that I want to touch on slightly, there's not really much for me to say, was Draka talking about how she's going to go talk to him. The only 2 people that come to mind, or 3 people, I guess, that can come to mind when it is him, would be Novak, which I don't think is likely because she doesn't really know about him or anything regarding him. The other one, which I think is the most likely, would be Antoni. Maybe it's more of just like somebody who holds a higher status of something within the church, and I don't also know why we would openly seek that out and think that we can communicate our feelings to him. I don't understand that, but that's the most logical one that I can come to the conclusion of. And the other one would be God. Like, I'm gonna go speak to him and, and get these things answered, which I just don't also think aligns too well. So I don't know. Maybe there's another party involved that I'm not fully aware of, that she knows of, or she's heard stories of, or maybe they've even told us and I've completely forgotten or went over my head. But that is, I'm assuming, where we're gonna head this episode. I'm assuming the loss of life comes plentiful throughout this. I don't know if Draka is going to be able to escape here, if anybody's going to be able to be surviving this, even herself. I got no clue, but we just have to wait and see. It's going to be an interesting battle to come forward, though. Hopefully you enjoy. If you like it all, like and subscribe. Announcement, feel free to stick around for the discussion. Limited comments is there to series, and go with the 22nd episode of Orb. Yeah, no choice. We follow orders around here. Hmm. You're entrusting me with this. Yep. Nice. It's fun too, because Yolenta wasn't directly, at least how I've interpreted it, responsible for the change that we get in Schmidt in the last episode. And instead it was her relationship and the impact that she had on Draka that ended up resulting in his own shift. So she like loosely was, but wasn't like the direct, I guess, sort of influence on him, which is really cool. どうした?この前の自爆が頭から消えない。奴らきっと目的のためなら何でもする。 That is a explosive display.
また数時間後にはいつものように朝が来る。いつか君にも朝日に微笑む日が来ることを願っているよ。
またですか。だから私は朝日が苦手だって。
Yeah, but some other things have changed.
今度は本気で思ってる。
は？本気？嫌がらせですか。
そうも取れるが、これは私なりの感謝だ。君にとって魅力的でなくても、私にとっては世界一素晴らしい時間なのだ。それを伝えたくなってね。
はあ、なんで？
さあ、しかしおそらく私と君が偶然出会ったからだろう。
Yep.
えらい静かだな。私は異端審問官。なぜ訪ねたかは分かっているな。おとなしく投稿しろ。
Preparation. I got the shields.
テストでか。うろたえるな。あの陣形は白兵戦に弱い。だから。
接近しろ。白兵戦に持ち込むんだ。
What about don't panic? Did you not get, man? He's been on edge on the whole way here, though. Sneak her out. I was about to say, we definitely don't have horses. Yeah, of course. Ugh.
おい。くそ。あっちは踊りか。荷車を切り離して馬だけにしろ。ここは任せたぞ。
We leave Schmidt with her to be protection in a way, so this is going to be an end for him.
私は自らの選択を恐れたことがなかった。
は？
Full commitment.
神が決めた運命に従うだけだと思っていたからだ。
This is different, though.
だが、今初めて怖い。
Well, yeah, because you went against it.
君の成功を祈る。
The ground game, 3-on-1.
私は君の仲間を大勢殺した。
Hmm.
動機は私の信仰上の理由だ。しかし今、その信仰が私の中で揺らいでいる。もう君たちを殺す正当性はない。しかし、
But something else. Something else is overtaken. Yeah.
すまん。何言ってんだ。狂い出したが。死ね。地獄へ落ちろ。
Through the fucking neck, too. Yeah.
自分の血で歴史と地動説信者にふさわしい惨めな運命だ。
Hmm.
しかし、私が選んだ運命だ。
One's own choice. Not just what was destined to them from God. Novak will live to see another day. And we see plenty of time to escape.
何者だ。こんな時間に。
Now we enter the land of unknown.
司教様。
Yep. Damn, I was right.
なんだ。私の眠りの邪魔をするとは。
訪問者です。大切な話があると。
どんなやつだ。
女です。みなりから見て。
A woman? Shit, that'll wake me up. Jumping out of bed. He woke me up for that. Fuck.
お久しぶりです。
Hmm.
話とは何だ。
未来です。儲け話とも言える。
Yeah.
足跡。
Did we ever get off course onto some grass or something that may not leave something behind? Probably not.
本です。私はこの先、物の個人所有が進んで、本が売れる時代が来ると思う。今や、市民は宗教ではなく、娯楽を欲している。大道芸から処刑に至るまで、貪るように群がる彼らの熱気を知ってるでしょ。
Yeah.
みんな刺激に飢えてます。そこで本です。印刷機の使用と本の発行許可をもらいたいんです。必ずや損はさせません。
ほう。で、その本の内容は。
それが問題
Yeah,
です。
you're not gonna be happy about that one.
宇宙論的な一つの思案というか、自然に対するある仮説で。
That's the way to put
平
it.
たく言うと、地球の運動についてです。
貴様、何を言って。
異端思想ですか。しかしです。お話ししたいのはここからだ。考えてみてください。歴史上、地動説が弾圧された前例を聞いたことがありますか。果たしてこの説は本当に異端なのですか。
君を監獄に送る前に教えてやるが、地動説はかつて私の父が何人も裁いた。弾圧のため。いや、しかし確かに、よそで弾圧の話は聞いたことがない。
やっぱり
Directly pass through.
言葉の印象が先行し、誰もが恐れ敬遠する。
Hmm.
私も初めて知ったとき、危ういと思った。確かに宇宙論は神の創造に抵触する話題だ。
I was like, shit, hold on. Maybe I should think about this with an open mind.
逆に慎重になりさえすれば、必ずしも禁止されるべきものではないのではないですか。そしてそれは刺激的な娯楽の題材になりませんか。
You could also spin it in a way that's beneficial to the church.
要するに君の考えでは、地動説が異端かどうかは、時の権力者の裁量によっていくらでも変わるというわけか。
Yeah.
ええ、そうです。
It's more influential too when it comes from
わ
you.
かった。ただ一つ理解しておけ。私は風向き次第ではいくらでも君を切る。
It was fair. No hesitation.
ということは、
落ち着け。肝心の利益の分配は。
Yeah, you're about to get fucking hoed out of this situation. It's about to be bad.
5対5で。
No, yeah, that's not happening.
冗談言うな。私の歩み寄りを考え
I'm thinking like 8 to 2 here.
8対
Yeah, that's like I thought that's what he'd go for.
わかりました。
Yeah, you don't really have negotiation room.
これで話はまとまったな。
ありがとうございます。
It went better than I thought it was going to. But he's a fucking little bitch too, so I've expected him to be down for something like this.
手紙を出したいのですが、いいでしょうか。
では私の電書鳩を使え。今持ってこさせよう。
異端捜査に協力しているものだ。これ許可証。容疑者の足跡を追ったらここへ。誰か怪しい者が来なかったか。
Yeah.
そういえばさっき女が
女どこへ向かった？
え
I don't know, through the
教会
gates.
の方へ
Oh shit. He's just gonna walk in on him. Oh, that's rough.
あなた
Yeah.
本当に司教。
Yeah.
私はノバクです。昔異端審問官を。
Yeah, you fucking hated me forever.
そ
This might not spin well for you, dude.
危険です。そいつは異端者だ。地動説の。
ああ
What's your point?
地
The battle you've been fighting, brother.
お父様が特に警戒してらした覚えてるでしょ。だから早く離れてく。何黙ってるんです。おい、そんな冗談だろ。
君は地動説の何が問題だと思う？
Look, his family.
詳しいこと。その前の司教様が
Exactly. The previous guy said it. I just been told to believe it.
分かってないならはっきり言おう。人を異端と呼び拷問し殺すならその理由に正当性があるのかくらいは自分で調べろ。行動に責任を持て。
Yeah, coming from you.
そうだ。確か聖書にも。
世界は固く据えられ決して揺らぐことはない。今ざっと思い当たるのはここらへんか。しかし冷静に考えるとわかるが、これらは地動説を排斥する絶対的根拠にはならないぞ。というのも地動説なんてものは単に一つの仮説に過ぎないからだ。唯一の真理と主張するのは危ういかもしれんが、単純に数学的過程としての発想だ。一体それに何の問題がある？
What's wrong with some theory?
万に一つ大地が実際に動いてるとしても、その前提で聖書を読み直し再解釈に努めるのが我々の役目だがな。新しい意見や
Change your perspective on things.
ではなく、検討してより聖書への理解を深める。そういう
This shit's hilarious, dude. I fucking hate it so much.
これは神学的にも神を称える素晴らしい気づきかもしれん。
Right, this is what we've been preaching for 20 episodes, dude. I'm glad you come around.
あなたの父親は。
ああ、私の父は宇宙論に厳しかったな。理由は知らんが。しかし君も知ってるだろうが、彼もその昔天文をやっていたらしいじゃないか。とすると何か挫折を経験して空への承継は劣等感へと変わってしまったのかもしれないな。彼の管轄内で地動説を研究した者たちが異端者の烙印を押された。
Yep, we just started the trend.
地動説は禁忌だという物語を信じるようになった。そしてその汚れ仕事は修道会出身の通常の異端審問官ではなく外部の者。
Yeah, yeah.
部屋上がりの君に委託された。もしそうだとしたら、この騒動は教会や人々の信仰を守る聖戦などではなく、一部の人間が起こしたただの勘違いだったということになる。
So you mean I lost my daughter and basically everything I've lived for up to this point due to a misunderstanding?
済まされるものか。
Yeah.
フベルト、ラファウ、オクジ、バデーニ、地動説で処刑された者の名だ。私は確かに殺したんだ。それに私の娘も。
Say the name.
そうだ、記録、彼らの記録。
全部非公開処刑だろ。そもそも全て25年以上前だ。記録が残ってるかも怪しい。君の記録が残ってるか調べさせ、見つけ次第処分しろと指示した。明日の朝には何もかも消えるだろう。
本当に私だけなのか。地動説の迫害を実行したのはこの世で私だけ。
ああ、私の知る限り、他の場所に生まれていれば、他の時代に生まれていれば、様々な可能性があった。しかし、そうはならない。
That's fucking life.
それが運命というものだ。
Yeah.
気の毒だが、受け入れるしかないだろう。
Because you have no choice.
君が担当した異端者たち。 君らは歴史の登場人物じゃない。
Damn. A potential conclusion being found for the guys you've been following all along. Finally, potentially coming to the end stop where they can spread their wings and get their word out there that they've been looking to this entire time, and a complete, utter loss on the other end in regards to Novak and what he's been going through. Unbelievable, distinctly difference that comes out of this with each of them, and it's such an interesting way for them to go about this, right? It uproots like everything that has occurred the entire show and reflects back on the original theory almost from Hubert that we kind of ran into, with them adopting this and accepting it and potentially pushing it out there provides such a vast and differing way of you interpreting the universe, of people potentially finding a way that makes God look even better than they could have imagined and that they always have, and kind of molds itself perfectly into a perfect creation of a universe responsible through him, which is funny how it takes, up to this point to get to it. I will say there's like a weird feeling almost in my mind with some of this, right? Because it feels, to an extent, and let me get my full thought out before you jump on me about it, it feels lackluster to an extent, right? The general idea of like, shit, never thought of it that way. Let me take 1 second, reflect on it, and be like, shit, you might be right, and then change basically everything that we fought against for all these years. Feels weak to an extent, right? Like it just has to. It's like you get to the end game and you're like, yeah, actually, what if we just think about it this way instead? What if we just do this? It goes against everything you've believed in and everything that you've consistently done up to this point. But at the same time, it makes so much sense. Historically, the things that people do, the decisions that they make, the wars and battles that they fight, sometimes are fully responsible through the direct orders of those around them, right? They are told by one person that something is bad. It's the general idea of like, you're brought up a certain way, your parents teach you something, and then at some point in time, you just kind of follow along and you don't learn to grow free and think for yourself, where some people do, and they branch off, and that's where people can be largely differing. We basically get that throughout this, right? We get one bishop the entire time who's like, shit, I don't fuck with this. These people are as bad as they come. They're the straight devil. Like, this is bad. So you go out and you execute every single one. You hunt them all down. But nobody can really push back on it too much. Especially if you hire an exterior person, you contract them and Novak to go out of the way and do all the dirty work. Somebody who will do it, who doesn't have that full on attachment to critically kind of like want to think on their own sort of end, and instead just chase after this thing that they're being told is wrong, to execute and take out everybody who kind of comes in their path because they're doing it for money and for what they live on. This reflects back to the early episodes, speaking on like, oh, this guy was a mercenary and this guy doesn't seem to align himself in any sort of way. How did this guy end up with this line of work? Like, where did that come from? Oh, now it makes perfect sense why they would go out of their way and hunt this person to be involved in the church in some sort of way. And all the things that we've learned in the first few episodes really feel like they start clicking at this point. And I think it's so nice to be able to get that. So while I think like it feels weak in the sense of it's not like this grand sort of conclusion that we're coming to, or grand sort of reveal that we're coming to, it instead just feels like potential underwhelming in natural course of history that is occurring. So it's kind of funny to me because of that, but it works perfectly because it is that. I don't know. I like it. I think it works itself out to be really nice. At the time, I was like, this feels a little underwhelming, but I was thinking about it as the episode kept going, and I'm like, this makes a ton of fucking sense. We should applaud it. It actually works itself out really well, and it like makes you feel a type of way towards all the other characters too, especially somebody like Antoni in this situation, who I did think that we were going to go to him. He made the most sense for this to actually happen. But to go to the power that we've been almost telling everybody and fighting against this whole time, and directly go to them takes an insane amount of balls. So good for Draka here to be able to do so. and then at the same time convince him in a way that it makes enough sense that he can profit from it, and he can spin a narrative enough that allows people to interpret things different that benefits the viewpoints of the church, right? He doesn't have to be in favor of heliocentrism, and in fact he probably isn't at all, but at the end of the day I can make money from it, and I have a way of this book that everybody's following, right? That's incredibly vague and allows for interpretation that you best see fit. It allows you to go back and refine it and to reflect on it and be like, shit, could have been meant this way. Let me keep this new thing in mind. And it's the same thing that happens all the time too. When you learn something and you reflect back and you work, like trace your steps almost on a case or like something that you're doing, you can start recognizing these different patterns of like, I have this knowledge now. How did we get from this point to this point? Well, let me fill in the blanks this sort of way. And it works. It just works. And I think it's awesome. I actually do. And Tony was so different this episode too. He goes from somebody that I absolutely like despise completely from everything that he's done and the way that he's approached things and acted, all the way through to like, fuck, you're making a lot of sense. Now, you might not be a terrible person. You are for all the things you did, but like shit, you're thinking logically with a little bit more of a clear head. Especially which is like, your father did this. Like, he's like, shit, maybe there was just a misunderstanding. It's kind of crazy how it all goes about. It's actually insane. I actually really like the conclusion. I do. Let me scroll through the episode a little bit. We'll touch on some other stuff. The recognition from everybody. This is an order. It's kind of just what we're set out to do. It works alongside strongly like the things that we're going to learn later what Novak's been basically doing. Like I just been kind of contracted to do this. I've been ordered to do something. So I've lived my whole life this sort of way, which is where they're continuing to do so. And we set up our battle that we get here. I like our little moments from Schmidt, his little heart to hearts that he's having. And especially what we get later when they come here and being like, I've literally never felt fear because all these decisions are destined through God. And it makes sense. I'm just obeying what I'm being told. And this is the first time that we've also seen him openly defy that. So, of course, it's natural for him to be terrified about what exactly is going to happen. The battle's a little underwhelming. I thought it would be a little cooler. It's a little underwhelming, but it accomplishes basically what it literally needs to do. He ends up not being able to live it out, and he ends up dying along the way here, which is expected, unfortunate too. I mean, it's a 3v1. There's no way that he's going to. It's the least like heroic, the least like grand sort of visual display we've been getting for death to come. It's just kind of needs to happen in a way for us to progress, which is a little sad that he ends up getting that. But I love his ending line of like, it's the fate that I chose, which I think is great. We wake Antonio up because we have a deal. We have something on your mind, and we think this book would be fantastic. Talking of stimulation and everything, I think is so good because it's so funny how it's continuously evolved over these years. Right, the stimulation at this point, we're trying to evolve with production of books and getting other things involved. We push forward like years later, radio and a bunch of other things come in. Television is another one. Internet becomes something, and then like live video and so many other things like games, easy access to things directly on like a phone or something like that. You know, there's plenty of different evolutions that we're getting over time. And then each of those also come with large ways of being able to influence, large ways to stimulate those, to hold power over others, to direct and make money over them too, which are continuous over the years. And Antonio at this point especially starts seeing like, shit, there's something in this. Well, that was a wasted time. And then he's like, shit, really? You think he was just trying to suppress it this whole time? And he starts thinking, he's like, shit, that's the only place I've heard it from. And everybody else that I heard it from had heard it from him. Damn, that actually could be the case. And starts openly thinking for once. And then he's like, what the fuck? I guess that makes plenty of sense. And then we strike a deal, an 80-20 deal. It's the best you're going to probably get out of it. He gets what he wants. We can spin it in a way that openly allows people to interpret it as perfection from God within this model. And it gets spun also with the church is probably the one coming out and, you know, putting their name on this publication that they're doing. It's going to look a lot stronger of an influence directly coming from them and give them more reason for people to go out, try and buy these books, try and understand things more and interpret the way of God so much more. It works beneficial completely for them. And then Novak comes in and finds some shit that he doesn't want. He's like open-eyed and completely shocked state that he continues to find himself in as he finds that everything was a misunderstanding. All the deaths, the people that he spent his entire life chasing after, and the things he's been doing are all for what now? It's all for nothing, which is literally what we get from the episode title. You know, we're going to burn all the documents, the things, the quests that you've likely been on here, the people that you've taken out. It's all nothing at the end of the day. You will not be known in history as the person who helped prevent or put a stop to this. Instead, we're going to go completely against everything that your entire life has been lived out for. You've lost those that are closest to you. What more do you have remaining? It's shitty all around. And it's heartbreaking and awful to see him have to unfortunately discover this, especially while somebody like Antonio, who's been as much of a piece of shit as he's been up to this point, to make as sound logic as he is. It's so fucking, it's rough completely. But that's basically what we get throughout this entire conversation. And it's sad. We're left in a spot though with Novak where it's like, where do you go from this? What happens with you? It's, I don't know. I think like you have nothing to lose at this point too. You know what I mean? There's nothing left for you. Like, do you just take your anger out on Antoni? Do you take your anger out on Draka? Do you take it out on yourself? Do you just give up on everything in general? Like, where the fuck do you go from here? You can't openly live like happily or anything either. It just, I don't know. And it would have been all more worse if, you know, when he said his daughter, he said her name, and then Draka mentions something, like, would have made things so much worse too. It's an awful spot for him to unfortunately be in here. As it is, no, you're not going to be remembered. Same thing, even Draka, like, you guys just aren't going to be remembered. These stories you can pass down to other people, but through publication that we're getting of this, just, it's not happening. We're not doing that. Yeah, it's rough. I think it's an awesome conclusion to likely come to. And while we still have episodes to go, overall publication and widespread knowledge of this, and whether or not people openly will accept it, and there's pushback and other things, there's plenty of questions, of course, to come forth. I think this is a great sort of idea for us to put forward, a great foot to put forward and conclusion to come to, especially within this episode, but the journey that Novak himself has been kind of following up to this point, the introduction that we get, the viewpoints and theories that we get directly from Hubert, to the fully understanding it episodes upon episodes later, I think puts so much more of the series and the journey along the way into perspective. For me as well, right? I've openly said the middle parts of, so probably from episode like 4 or 5 onwards, has been hit or miss at times for me. It's been, and not bad in any way, but it's been like fine to good to me, but nothing really over the top that I've fallen in love with, unfortunately. And I think that this allows a unique sort of feeling for me, where as it was unfolding and as I'm even talking about it now, I'm thinking back and reflecting on certain different situations that happened and why each episode was put forward the way it was, why each character did things and the motives behind them. That's making me reassess these sort of things, similar to how Antoni's anticipating people will going forward with heliocentrism. So really cool. I think that the show itself and the themes, the message that they're putting forward here for what they were telling is making me do the same sort of thing. I think it's cool. I don't have much more to say though. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you absolutely did. These last 2 episodes have been great for me, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else they plan to do with the remaining few ones. I'm assuming probably a time skip or something at some point, just to see the progression that we get. Maybe not next episode or even the one after, maybe just the last, but I'd be curious. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you liked it all, like and subscribe. Not to be, feel free to check out the channel in the comments of the series. I'll be back very soon for episode 23. I hope you guys have a great one.